fans in here. Now it's a new thing now, Scott. Love it. You never know where our little
Small
beginning
tangent.
combo goes. Yeah. You never know where it's going to go. So I'll bring us back. But as we are super excited because we are going to be talking about something that's very big, really huge. And we're so excited. Maybe you've already played with it. Maybe you haven't. It's new release. I mean, it just came out last week, right? Was it last week? Or was it 2 weeks
It was
now?
a quiet release.
It was a quiet one.
So that we could make sure everything was working correctly. So it was probably actually roughly 2 weeks ago, but we announced it last week.
Yeah, so it's so new. So you'll get to see it today. And we're also really excited because we're going to show you like how you could implement it into your business. So it's going to be really awesome. But as we mentioned before, big question that this is being recorded. And then the cool thing is we actually will, oh, and by the way, this is, I'm Stephanie and this is Scott.
Oh, hi.
Always
Hi
forget
there.
to do that.
How are you? Good to meet you.
It's us. So good to meet you here. Yeah, so if you watch other videos, it's likely you see our faces and hear our voice. So thank you for tuning in with us every time.
Thank you for not getting tired of our faces.
Yes, or maybe you are, but that's okay.
Stuck now.
Stuck now. But if you go on our YouTube channel, though, that's where you'll find all the previous recordings, but also this one. So just give me a couple of hours, maybe not even that long, and I'll get it up. But you can always watch the recording back from that registration page. So right after this, it takes about 15 minutes to render, but then after that, you can just go back and watch it from the same page you would have registered, that Zoom registration page. So you can watch it right away too. The other thing I want to mention too, before I dive in, is that we will have time for Q&A. So definitely put your questions in there. Try to use, you can use that chat box, but try to use the Q&A panel. It just kind of helps it a little bit with us managing. But feel free, both of them, we watch them both. Yeah, so we'll have time for Q&A. And then the other thing I always like to mention, I'll mention this at the end again as well, but we'll go through a lot of stuff. So if you feel you're like, whoa, that was a lot, or I really want to look more into this that we didn't get to talk about, our support team's ready for you. So definitely utilize our support team. If you go to travefy.com/support, you can find tons of videos in there, help guides. But we also have one-on-one trainings and demos. We have live chat in the account. So definitely as we go through everything, don't feel like overwhelmed or like, oh my gosh, like I need more help on this and I don't know where to get it. We got you. So just keep that in mind. So that's always the exciting thing. But what we're going to talk about here today. So we know why we're here. Tasks. Tasks has brought us here today, which is so exciting. So I am going to start off with an intro to tasks. We're just going to spend a few minutes just really showing you that first. But then we're going to come back out. And then we're going to do more of talk about our simple CRM and forms walkthrough. So we're going to show you because they all intertwine together in a way. So we're going to walk through all of those. But then along the way, you're going to get a lot of just different tips and tricks for creating your own workflow along the way, which is really cool. And then at the end, we'll talk about, pricing support, start a free trial, all that good stuff. And then Q&A. So it'll be really cool.
All right. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Are you ready for this? Okay. So for the biggest part of all, like I said, why we're here today, tasks. You can work smarter, not harder with tasks. That's a great thing.
Trademark
that. It's a really great one. So here's why tasks is so awesome. It's been a long time coming. It has been so much feedback for years and years of a lot of users asking for this type of functionality. And what's really cool is we're going to walk you through tasks. But what's cool is basically high level tasks allows you to create tasks and set reminders for yourself within Travefy. So you can add these tasks to clients. So like if you want to add it to a specific client, you need to remind yourself, or if you want to add it to a trip, or if you just want to create your own task reminder for something, you can do that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use it in all areas of your business. So it's really cool, but I think the best way for you to see this is actually just see it in real life. So I'm just going to jump into my account really quick and just walk you through where you can actually find tasks. So if you're new to Travefy, this is what it looks like when you log into your account. If you've been using Travefy, you might notice a little icon now that you didn't see before. So right up at the top of your dashboard, this is where you can see overall tasks. So this is just overall viewing of tasks. you can see, oh my God, I have a task webinar today. So after this, I can check it off. So you can throw those in. I mean, you can add your own tasks right here. But if you click on view all tasks, this is where you'll really be able to see everything going on. And you can also filter them. You can see on the left-hand column here, you can also filter by, like, if you're on a team, you can see different team members because you are able to set tasks for them, which we'll walk through as well. Um, but then the other places where you'll find tasks is also in your contacts. So again, we'll be going through more in depth into contacts, but you can see here for Sarah Smith, I need to send a proposal to her. So you can create a task for just one client in there. And then another one you can do, which is kind of my favorite thing, is the ability that you can create tasks for a trip. So you can make them trip specific. So if you are on your main dashboard, like I am, and you click on a trip here, you can click over here on the right-hand side where you have all these options. There's tasks now. So now you have this little column for tasks, and you can see what tasks they are part of. Now, something that's really going to take this to the next level that we'll talk about further into this webinar is that you can actually import task lists. So you can save task lists and then import them into trips. So when you get a new client, you start a new trip, you import your task lists, they're already good to go. So there's a lot of things you can do with that, which we'll walk through. But then again, at the end though, you'll also find them all listed right in here in the top of your dashboard where you can view all of them. And then the last place that I want to show you where you can find tasks now is on your mobile device. So if you have the Travefy Pro app on your phone, which you should, if you don't have it, definitely download it and just log in with your Travefy credentials, because now the new thing is there is a tasks functionality. So you can actually view all of your tasks in your app on the go, and you can also edit them from here, add more. It's really cool. I think this is one of the biggest game changers because now your tasks are everywhere. You know, you're going to get email notification if it's happening. You're going to see it in your Travefy account alerting you. You're going to see it in the app. I mean, that's what's really cool about this. So it is amazing. Scott, I'll let you talk a little more about it.
Yeah, no, I love the addition within the Travefy Pro app for many reasons. If you're like me, and frequently during the week you're running around like crazy, and random things pop in your head of like, oh shoot, I totally forgot to write that thing down. Now you can just pop up your phone and throw in a task and a reminder, a notification that way. So it's also really helpful when you think about today's travel advisor that is not sitting necessarily all the time, not sitting in a brick and mortar office 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Every day with your Rolodex and your to-do list and all those things, that you can pull up your app. We know a lot of you are multitasking. This is a full-time or part-time effort in that way. So just really excited about it. The other thing with tasks is that one thing I want all of you to take a note of is, in listening to feedback, we've started to respond to that feedback over the last several years on suggestions for Travefy, but also suggestions just in general within the industry for travel advisors. And listening to that feedback, we've heard some consistent themes of like almost always advisors are saying, I don't want all of these different systems, and having to go like full on MacGyver and duct taping these different systems and things together to make it all work for my process. And so we've been trying to really respond to that and think through what are the most effective tools and most needed tools to help you be more efficient and fill gaps that are existing out there that other systems like back office systems and things like that don't help with. And so that's where we've been focusing. So we launched the CRM a couple of years ago. We launched it relatively quietly because it was right at the beginning of COVID. But then since then, we've been adding in more functionality, adding in forms, credit card authorizations, secure document storage, two-factor authentication, PCI compliance, all of those different things. And now even more exciting, tasks, because what we've discovered is that for a lot of advisors, they're actually purchasing certain software just for task management and workflow management. And so hopefully this also might be kind of literally a money saver for you, not just a time saver. Help you get more organized, stay more organized, create your own workflows and preset task lists and things like that. But the last thing that I'll say before Stephanie continues us through the webinar is that we're not done here. So I point out the history, the road that we've been trekking down, so that you're seeing how we're leveling in more and more functionality enhancements based on your feedback. So we're not done here. The task functionality actually just kind of lays the foundation for more efficiency tools and things that we can do to help you save time in the future. So with that being said, send us your thoughts, send us your feedback and things like that along the way. Send it in the live chat with the customer support team, through any feedback you have within here. And, we love that feedback. We really appreciate it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's amazing. And just to address a couple questions I saw come in really quick is one really important thing with the mobile app is you have to make sure to update your app. So if you're not seeing the task list, go into your app store or Google Play Store and just you'll see the option to update it, and just update it, and then you'll see it right away. Yeah, and then there's also questions like, can you set tasks reminders outside of a trip? Yeah, so that's the thing that's so cool is you can set them anywhere. It can be connected to a client, a trip, or just a one-off task. It's so cool. So we'll definitely go more into that. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to go through more like the simple CRM, the forms, walk through all of that, and then we'll go back to tasks and show you some different things that you can do with it. So it's going to be really cool. But thank you for that, Scott. It's exciting just to see this come alive. It's been a long time coming, and then what's next. So it's really cool. But one thing before I go further, I always like to do is, in case if there's anyone new here, or even if you are a user, there's a lot of times that users don't realize everything they can do in their Travefy account. So I always just like to bring up this slide just to quickly share, because we're not going to be going through all of these different tools today, but Travefy is a complete suite of tools. So, and within those tools, tons of great features. But some of those highlighted tools here is, itinerary builder. So I always like to say that's Travefy's bread and butter. That's really where we started. So it's really cool just to see all of this stuff start to go out and really have so many different functionality around it. But there is the itinerary builder, also proposals. So there's a proposal workflow. So your client can actually like approve it, and then it turns into an itinerary, all that good stuff. But then there's contacts, which we will talk about today. So that's where we talk about our simple CRM. We call it contacts, but we'll talk about that today. We'll also talk about forms. So the forms is incredible. It allows you to create a form to collect any type of information you need, including credit card authorization, e-signature. So we'll be talking about all of that here today. And then the last one that unfortunately we won't get to talk about today is the website builder. So we also do have a website builder. We say website and landing page builder, and it's really a great, great, great marketing tool. It's one of my favorite things because it allows you to market trips. So you can, if you have like things to promote, trip to promote, or create like a landing page for a group trip or a destination wedding. I mean, there's so much you can do. And if you already have a website, totally fine. You can just use it for like landing pages. So it's really cool. I highly recommend going to check out videos and at travefy.com/support to watch videos in depth on the rest of these features. But today, focusing in on the contacts and forms. So that's really where we're going to be living today. So going to be really cool. So with that being said, I'm going to dive in. I'm just going to go for it here. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the or our what we call our simple CRM. So Scott, I'm going to bring you back in really quick here, just so that you can lay the groundwork here of why did we release this? Like, what is this functionality for?
Yeah, the contacts, or the CRM that we've built in Travefy, again, is built just directly from customer feedback along the way. That a few really important things. A lot of advisors were getting tired of jumping between different softwares, wanted to stay within one system, one platform that housed more of their actionable client information and needed tools that are on a day-to-day basis that they need access to. And so what Travefy chose to do was a little bit counterintuitive. As many of you that have been in the industry a while know, that there are lots and lots and lots of CRMs, back office systems, things like that out there, whether they're from the travel industry or from outside the travel industry. The common denominator that we found almost 100% of the time is that a lot of advisors, probably 50% that we talk with, would say those tools were too complex, too complicated. I often put it as they kind of have 100 features you never use, that you're really only using one or two. I can't count how many advisors will say, oh yeah, I get this back office or CRM system through my host agency, but I don't really use it. I just plug in my commission stuff so I can get paid. Well, that sounds not great. That sounds like the system is broken. And so what we want to do is create a platform that really focuses not on the 100 features you never use, but the 5 features you use every single day. So it purposefully does not have everything under the sun, every bell and whistle, because that's what adds the complexity. So what we're doing is we started with a core of client management, contact management, custom fields, notes, things like that, trip history. We're adding things in across from contact organization, custom fields, secure document storage, and now tasks. Now we also have forms and credit card authorization. Stephanie will talk about that in a little bit. But just to kind of help you shift how you're looking at Travefy's CRM, is that it's purposefully designed not to have everything out there, just because that's what really inevitably adds the complexity. But usually that's quickly followed up by a question of, well, why doesn't it have X? Why doesn't it have Y? Totally get that. We're continuing to add in functionality, over time. So just keep sending us that feedback.
Absolutely. And yeah, and contact, it's so amazing, so great, just having everything in one place and to access your contacts in your account. So when you log in at the top of your dashboard, you'll see contacts at the top here, and then you can click up in contacts. So I do have some people in here, and if you've never used contacts and you notice there's people already in here, that's probably because you've shared trips with them. So it'll automatically save their contact information in here just by sending a trip to them. But otherwise, when you're ready to import contacts, you can create them one by one, but you can also import a list. So if you do have a whole file, of all your contacts, you can always have your file in here, and then you can do like just put it in this format basically. And here's one thing I like, this is the little pro tip that I would give, is download the template file. So if you click download the template file, that's basically what we need to upload here, so then you can just have it in the format that we need it as. So go ahead and upload that, and then you'll get all of your contacts in here. So that's what's really great. But I'm actually going to walk you through just creating one here, just so you can see all of the different features within a contact profile. And basically, what you do is you just click new contact. So very easy. You can see it's very simple to use. So we can start off, give them a name. I'm just going to put a fake client in here, Jackie Jones. Now you can see tasks. So here's that tasks. So if you want to start adding some tasks for her, you can. But then you can also do a lot of things in here. I mean, you could add like a description. So an example could be like main contact for family planning. So maybe we're doing a whole family trip, but she's going to be the main contact. So I could just put that in that description. You also can, of course, add email addresses, phone numbers, address, and you can add multiple as well. I'm just going to add one there just to show you. But you can also add multiple, like I said, multiple email addresses. And basically, the little tip about that is that if you have multiple email addresses, the first one that you have on it, like at the top, that's going to be the one that we use to send things to. So, like a form or an itinerary. That's how you know which one we're sending it to. Another thing that I really like is that we have custom fields here. So you can see that we provide you with the basic information of the email and phone and address, but you can create custom fields to include any other type of information you need. So this is completely up to you what you want to have in here. So I have, for example, like the birth date, or if you want to put like anniversary, anything like that, you can do that in here. And then you can also just click in here to manage as well. So if you click add, just click manage custom fields. And then this is where you can add those fields, and you can choose like, do you want it to be a date or just text? So it's all in there, which is really great. And one other little pro tip I would give is, you saw the way to import contacts as a whole, where you can export out that file that we give you. So one thing I'd recommend is go in and add your custom fields first, because once you add custom fields and you export that this file right here, the template file, we'll actually have your custom fields in there, which is really cool. So it's cool how it intuitively will know that that's already there. So just a little tip there. You can also do labels. So this is really good for group trips or family trips, where you want to, each person has their own contact, but you can link them together with that label, which is great. And then, of course, the ability to add notes. This is really big. I mean, it seems so simple, but a lot of times you need the ability to just write down some notes like, oh, I spoke on the phone. Here's what they're thinking of doing, anything you need to add in there. You'll also be able to see their trips. So again, this is a great thing about being linked to Travefy is when you share a proposal or an itinerary with them, that trip is actually going to appear right in their contact. So you can easily go into their contact and click on their trip. So really awesome, easy to have all that information there. Um, Forms I'm going to come right back to, but I want to skip over to docs. Documents is really great. So this is what's cool about this section right here is with documents, you can add, any type of document you want in here. Whether it's like I just uploaded one just to show you, but if you want to add like insurance information or, passport info, whatever it might be, because here's the cool thing. So we'll talk a little bit more about this when it comes to credit card authorization, but for two-factor authentication, you have to have that turned on for that. It's just another layer of security for password protection into your account. So once you have that turned on, you'll be able to add documents. We do that on purpose again because documents can sometimes be sensitive information. So we want to make sure that it is set. So if you get in your account and you see like I can't add documents, it's because you have to have two-factor authentication turned on. So it's really great though. It's just nice knowing like your stuff is secure. So that's what's really cool in there. So you can have that in there. And that's really contacts for you. I mean, it's there's so much in there and you can see how simple it is. It's so great how you can really put any information you need in here, including those tasks. So if you do ever want to add a task for someone, which I'll do really quick, since that is our big feature today is tasks. I'll just say, send proposal. And then we'll just leave it at that, and then we can give a date in here. So I can say I want it by next Friday. You can add a time as well. But now I have that send proposal in here. And then I will also see that, of course, with all of my tasks too. So really cool. I love the ability that you can do that specifically for clients, if you need to. So now I want to get into forms a little bit because forms and contacts will work together. So when we talk about forms, that's what we're talking about with, if you need to create a form for anything, whether it's new traveler information, you need to get passport info, you need to get, maybe you need to get the credit card authorization, any of that type of stuff. And so with forms, you'll always be able to see what this person has filled out. But you can also send a form directly from here. So if you have forms already saved, as templates in your account, you can go ahead and you'll see them drop down here and you can have new forms. You can just create them in your contacts as well. But for forms, they're actually living in your library. So up on our dashboard, the top of our dashboard here, you can see library. So I'm going to click in here. And now, just a high level, if you're new to Travefy, the library is a place where you can save information to reuse. So whether it's content for itineraries and proposals, task lists, which we'll talk about, but also forms. So this is actually where you can build forms at and save them in here and copy them, share them. There's a lot of things you can do. So with forms in here, what you do when you want to create a new form, and again, this can be for anything: new traveler inquiry, lead generation, a waiver, CC auth, sky's the limit. But you'll always start out in the same place. You'll always just click a new library item. You'll choose form. And then from here, you can go ahead and give it a title. So I'm going to leave it blank for right now because what you can do then is you can always add your own question. So you can add a question or a text or image in there. But Travefy does have templates as well. We do have templates in here. So we have a few different template options that you can just go ahead and pull from to make it easy to get started. Another thing here though that I want to share, this is a little pro tip for everybody, is I'm going to copy and paste this in the chat. But we also have a page where we've been able to collect form examples from other users. So that way you can check those out and you can actually just copy them right into your library. So it's really cool. So we do have a few templates that you can choose from, but that link that I just shared, there's going to be some more examples from actual real life users, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, if you're curious on how other advisors build their forms or how they construct them, there's some really good examples in there for international travel, collecting information, even a sample like template service fee agreement that spells out, and you can just like copy and paste in the fees and delete out the ones that you don't want to charge. Just so that you have really nice transparency with all of those things. So check them out. Also, if you have some really excellent, awesome forms that you want to share with other Travefy users, feel free to email me, scott@travefy.com. We would love to share those within that library sharing gallery, or feel free to share those on our Facebook group with others. It's just a great way to support others in the industry, make sure that they have great best practices and processes in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely share those, because that's what's really cool is the ability, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end as well, is the ability to share things with other users, because that also was a feature that's just completely game changing. But I'm going to show you just as an example here. I'm going to pull a template from one that we have in Travefy, and I'm just going to do new trip inquiry. So I'm going to click new trip inquiry here, and then I'm going to go ahead and just see, you can go ahead and see, like, is this what you want? And as you can see here, it's really simple. You just put that name or the question title. You can choose what type of response it is you're looking for, and you'll see smart fields here. Smart fields means that it is going to intuitively know or connect it to the contact profile. So if I'm asking for a client email and name, and I have it set as for the smart fields, then it's automatically going to know that it needs to create a new profile and put that name and that email automatically in there. So it's really awesome. It's so cool how it does that. But then, of course, you can also, have different things. You can also include instructions. So if you want to add additional information about what you're looking for in this question, and then, of course, is it required? Yes or no? So really easy there. Now, I'm just going to add one new just so you can see here, but I'm going to click add new. Now, again, you can choose the question, which is typically probably what you'll use, but we also do have the option to do text and image only. So we added this because this is really nice if you ever want to put maybe your logo or a picture, and then you want to put like, what is this form about, a description in there. That's how you can do that. So you can add those throughout the form or just at the top of the form, or however you want it displayed, you can do that in there. But I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to add a new question here. And I'm just going to say any additional information I should know. And then I'm just going to put a long answer, and I will not require that. So that's it. So now I have, all that information that I need. And now, first, you can always preview it. So you can always see, like, what is this going to look like for the client? And you can do that just by clicking preview. And then you can view it in a mobile app version. So you can see, what does it look like when they're on their phone? Or are they on their desktop? What does it look like that way? So it's really great that you can just go through and see it before sending it out. And then when you do want to share it, you can actually get a link to it. So this is really nice, especially if you're just trying to get basic traveler information and you have like a group trip or something, you can get the link for it. Now you'll only be able to get the link if it just has general information. So if you're going to ask for an e-signature or credit card authorization, you will not be able to just get a link. You'll have to send it directly to them. But otherwise, if you see the link option here, then you can just grab that link and share it. But you can also just email it right through Travefy, which is very simple. Just type in their email, and then they'll just get an email with the form. And then what happens once they fill that form out, you'll receive an email letting you know that they have filled it out. And then you'll be able to come in here, and you can always click on responses, and you can then see those responses. I have one here. Let's see. I thought I had one. Maybe I think I might have just deleted one where I had an actual response to, so I apologize. But basically, you'll be able to see those in here. Here we go. Here's one. You'll be able to see those in here, and you can view all their answers. You can download the PDF, so you can export those answers out if you want. But then you'll also have the option, if this person already lives in my contacts, so I have assigned this form to go to this contact, so I can now go view it in there. But otherwise, you can also choose to create a new contact from that new form. So when you are getting, like how we mentioned, like if it's like lead generation form or something, you can then start pushing them in to your contacts here. And then you can start doing things like creating tasks, having, sending proposals to them, all that good stuff. And here's that person actually that we were just looking at. And you can see under forms, you can now see this form here, and I can view the responses, download the PDF of their reply, all that good stuff. So it's very organized. At the end of the day, it's really, really organized. So that's the best part about this. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is I'm going to go back to forms here because I bet the number one thing is that on people's minds is, okay, credit card authorization. How do we do that? Because that is really, really big and very exciting. So for credit card authorization, first thing to know, as I mentioned earlier, you do have to have two-factor authentication turned on. So our forms, our credit card authorization is completely PCI compliant, which I love to share that because basically it gives you an ease of mind knowing, okay, I have the most safe and secure possible way to get this. There's nothing more that you can do to be more secure than PCI compliant. So with that, we do have to make you do two-factor authentication, but it's really easy to set up. You'll just want to go into your settings here. So if you go into your security, just turn on two-factor authentication. And basically what that's going to do, you've probably done it before with like mobile banking and stuff where it'll send you like 6 digits and then you just have to enter that. So we just need like another layer of you logging into your account. So once you set that up though, you will be able to then create a form. And when you you can either create from our template. So we do have a template of credit card authorization, or if you are creating a new question, you'll see the option right here where it says card authorization. So again, if you don't see that option, it's just because you don't have 2FA turned on. So you'll want to turn on two-factor authentication and then you'll see this. And then all you do, it's very simple. You just click on that and I can say, what is your payment information? So you can word this however you want. I will require it. And then also a pro tip here is you will have to say yes if you want to collect the CVV. So if you don't need it, then you can keep it as no, but you do have to check yes on that. And then I'm just going to put a title there. We also have that electronic signature here as well. But when you're sharing this with a client, so once you're ready to send this to them, it's going to look a little different because again, you won't be able to get a link to it. You'll have to send it directly through email, but you will need to do a couple additional steps where you'll want to put in the authorization description. So your client will see this. They'll see, okay, what is the description of what this is? What is the amount? And then you also can set the deadline. Now, this is really important to pay attention to the deadline because this will delete their card information. So you'll no longer be able to obtain it once that deadline happens. So again, it's really nice having that because you don't have to be like, oh gosh, I have this card information, available to me forever. So that's the nice thing. You don't have to worry about that. So it is important to make sure you set that deadline the way you need. But then what happens is once you send this off, your client fills it out, and then your client will receive a PDF copy of what they signed. So they'll have like basically like a receipt of what they're with the last 4 digits of the card they entered, and then it'll also say the date and time that they approved it, and then you also will receive an email letting you know they filled it out, and then you'll have access to the same information. So hopefully you never need it, but if you ever do need to go say like it really was they put their card information, this was the card they entered at this time, this date, you have that in there. And then when you do need to retrieve the card info, you'll just go back into their contacts. So again, this is where everything is linking. So you'll just go in here, go into their form, and then down here, you'll see an option where it's card information. Now, this deadline has actually passed. So you can see, I can still see that this person filled it out, but I can't click any longer to view it. But if I could, I would click the button and it would just open into a new window and have the card information. And then from there, you can use that card information as you need, and then you could delete it if you want, or just keep it in there until it automatically, the deadline happens. So it's, as you can see, it's just so easy. It's really, really great way just to get that information in there. So Now for my final thing, what I want to talk about. We're still in the library here. So because we're in the library, I want to talk about tasks. So tasks, so exciting. So you've already seen all the different ways that you can add tasks, if you want to add a one-off, if you want to add it to a profile. But here's one thing that's really cool. You can actually create a whole task list for a trip. And here's an example of this. Okay, so let's say this Hawaii vacation. So I have a task list in here. So I have a task to send this to the client. I have one that I want to show them how to download the app. I need to have a reminder to check in for the flight, all that kind of stuff. So when I added this to this trip, I didn't just do it one by one. And you don't have to like remember, like, oh, what do I have to do again? That's the whole point. We want to make this easy and so you don't forget things. So what you can do is create what we call a task list. So you can see right here, here are some task lists that I've already created. But I'm going to create a new one here together. So we're just going to say a new library item. And now you will find a new option here that says task list. So I'm going to click that. Now, the title for this one is I'm going to do confirmed booking task list. So I'm thinking this is going to be, once a client confirms that this is happening, this is the task list that I'm going to add to that trip. So let's start adding the tasks now. So I gave it a title. So you can add as many tasks as you need in here. So I'm just going to add a task. And then I'm going to say send traveler form. So that's maybe I have a traveler form already built in my Travefy account where I'm collecting the basic traveler information. And then maybe that's where I need to get that, let's say, 90 days before trip start date. Now you can also choose, is it going to be after the trip? So you can also add tasks for afterwards. But for this case, it needs to be before. So I'll say before trip start date. And then I can also add a time. So I'm not going to add a time on this one. But when it is like those one-off tasks, when you're like, it needs to be done by this point, like it's a deadline, then you can put that time in there. I also love how you can add notes. So if you need to remind yourself, like, oh, this is what you need to do, or here's where to find this, or just quick little things, you can always add notes in there for yourself. And so I'm just going to click done. And then let's add another one. So I'm going to add another task in here. This is collect deposit. And then we will say that this needs to be done, 60 days before the trip. So then I can have that ready to go. And then let's just add one more here. I'm just going to add another task where it's send passport information form. And then let's make that, we'll say that's like 30 days before, even though it probably would need to be earlier, but we'll say 30. So we'll just say, okay, done. So those are my tasks that I always need to have. So I'm just going to say done now. And now we have this brand new task list that lives in our library. It's always there. So you can always have it just ready to go. And then when you want to add it to a trip, all you're going to do is you just click on that trip. So again, when you're in here, and then over on the right-hand side, you'll now see this tasks column. So you can click into that. And then what you can do is then you can say, in right where it says those little three dots, you can import a task list, or if you've one by one created a task list for this trip and you're like, oh, I forgot to save it, that's okay. You can still save it. So that's the nice thing, is you can always save something you created into the library. But otherwise, I'm going to import it. Now, I have a few task lists in here. So you can start looking once you start building these up. And I want the confirmed booking task list. So now I have that in here. And check this out. It automatically synced dates. So this trip is taking place February 14th is when they depart. So I already have all of the information now. On the 16th of November, I need to send that traveler form. So you can see all of that's going to be in here. And then the other great thing about this is that now this will also be living in here. So once again, whether you're on your mobile app viewing all of your tasks, or you come up on your dashboard here and you just say view all tasks. Now look at this. I have new ones in here now. So I can see like what is due this week. Okay, I have 2 things to do this week. You can always look in the past, things like that. So now you can see all those. So it's such a game changer. It's crazy. It's one of those things that you're like, oh man, this is how did you live without tasks before? Because it's just so awesome. And then also, if you do ever just need to create again those one-off tasks, you can come in here and then you can always just type to add a task. So you can add those in there. Another thing you can do is you can also assign them to different team members. So if you are on a team, this is really helpful, especially if you're collaborating together. You can just assign a task to somebody else. So like if you're going on vacation and you need to remind to collect something from a client, you can create a task for that and just assign it to the team member that's there. So really awesome stuff. So Scott, did I cover all the tasks? I feel like, is that good?
Did you break a sweat? You covered a lot of stuff there.
That was a lot of stuff. That was a lot.
No, that was great. That was great. A lot of really good questions, very thoughtful questions. Like I'm impressed with the advisors that are joining us that have just really detailed processes to ensure that they take care of clients and know how to run really efficiently. So, and that's represented in the quality of the questions that you were asking. So kudos to everyone joining in the webinar. Really good stuff. Are you ready for some questions?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we are getting a lot of questions that are not like surface level 2-second answers. So having said that, with the 15 minutes that we have remaining, give or take, we will try to get through as many of these as possible in there. But just a heads up, as always, if we don't get to your question, it's nothing personal. We just ran out of time. Reach out to our support team with the live chat in your account or email professional@travefy.com. You can even go in the support center and schedule a training session if you just want some dedicated time from one of our support team members, our awesome client champions. That way. So with that, we'll kick off a first question. This one you did answer, but just to briefly recover it from Carla, can you have a generic task list and upload it to each trip? You have a standard process that you want to follow on each trip.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I was doing. And yeah, I did that right at the end. So basically, yeah, you can just create a list here and then just title it like a basic task list or something. And you can also, you'll notice here, you can do labels. So as you start to grow your task lists, you can also create labels like before trip, during trip, after trip, or, whatever you want to do. But then, yeah, and then you can always add to it if you need to come in. And another thing actually that I was thinking about as I was doing this is, let's say that you do add that task list in here, like I did for that trip, but then let's say there's something else that's really different about this specific trip. Like I need to do something like for a supplier or something, then you can still add another task. And I think that's what's really cool. So I can say like chat with supplier about, accommodating a need or something. So you can still do those one-offs along with a task list.
Cool. Well, I'll answer this next question and you can go look through and get fired up for the next question. So Rita asked, for credit card storage, does the card info remain indefinitely or does it get deleted after a certain amount of time? As well, Gabriella asked, can I store credit card information on the contact file? So to answer those in reverse order, yes, you can store credit card authorization or credit card information within a contact profile. Travefy is PCI compliant. That's usually a question that pops up to the top of the list really quickly. We have gone through all of the lengthy processes and approval processes and attestation, all of those things, third-party attestation to receive PCI compliance. So we're really proud of that. We're one of the few out there that has done that end to end. So you can securely store credit card information in Travefy. Now, the second question in terms of how long does it last in there? So the credit card information that you collect from clients securely through a credit card authorization form, we break it into two parts for PCI compliance reasons. One, the card information, the number of the card, name, the expiration date, etc., are all stored for up to 2 years within Travefy. Now, the card security code, this is an important part of PCI compliance. That is designed for PCI compliance reasons. That is designed around a single purchase, not a blanket, take my card information, use it for whatever you want, whenever you need it kind of thing. And I'm being a little critical here. Some advisors do have really close relationships with clients that the client wants them to just charge the card whenever they need it. Now, unfortunately, you won't have any documentation around that in a lot of instances. So we highly recommend credit card authorization forms to be able to have documentation around what specific approvals and expirations you have. So with that being said, the card security code will last up to 30 days in Travefy, or you can set an expiration date that's shorter in there. So with that, now a quick pro tip that definitely trips up a few people in there. The expiration date is the date that it expires. So if you need an additional date, if you go to view that card information on the expired date, it's already expired. So you'll want to make sure that you retrieve any of the card information for supplier invoices, your own professional fee, etc., before the expiration date that you list in there. So just to recap, we'll store the card information for up to 2 years, but the card security code will by default expire and delete after 30 days.
Perfect. And thank you for that too. I found some questions here we're going through. So one is from Yenju saying, can you import contacts from another CRM? Does it have to be a certain format already? So technically, I mean, if you can export the list of contacts from them, what you would need to do is you can export it from them first, and then just click get that template file. And you might have to do like some copy and pasting to get it around to the right format. But you would be able to format it in a way, then you can go ahead and just upload them here. So hopefully it's pretty easy to do. You just need to kind of move around the formatting a little bit, but yeah, then you'll be able to add those.
Yeah. So a few other questions around notifications with tasks, asking how will I be notified? So an important thing, if you missed it within the screen share, when Stephanie was setting a date and a time for the task, you'll see a little alarm clock button that pops up there, that little so she's filling out the time. Now you'll see a little alarm bell icon in there. You can click to add a reminder. How that will work, by default, Travefy will send you email notifications. But if you have the Travefy Pro app installed and you're signed into it with your Travefy account, and this is the Travefy Pro app that I'm talking about specifically, then by default, you'll receive push notifications that way. So you'll either receive email notifications if you're not signed into the app, or if you are signed into the app, you'll receive push notifications.
Perfect. I'm glad you did that because I forgot to even show you can get so detailed into I want a reminder. So you can do that for any of these. So you can definitely set where you're getting reminders. So I'm just going to say example task. So this will live here so you can see. But what's really great though, is you'll see some of these do start to have reminders, notifications in there. And so you can always change those too. And you can do that in the app as well. If you need to turn things off, if you've already finished or you're changing dates, times, you can do that as well. So a question here from Kate said, do you need to create a contact to assign a task to? We already have a CRM and don't want to duplicate effort. So you definitely don't have to. But I mean, it's really easy to create a contact, but what you could do is you can also just create, I keep calling them standalone tasks, but basically its own task where you just say, Sally Smith, send proposal. So that's what's so cool is when you are on the go, as Scott mentioned at the beginning, is, you think of something, you're like, oh yeah, I got to remember to do that. But let's say you're picking your kid up from school or something. So just whip out your app and just type in, and you can add in the notes. You have the ability to add notes. So you can put more for Sally Smith or, whatever you need to do. So yeah, you can definitely, it doesn't have to be attached to a contact at all. Another question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can I do one? This is a good one. This is a good one. So I believe it was Lauren. I may have written down the name wrong. Lauren asked, can I add an image or a logo to my form? And this is a brand new feature that we added in there a few months ago, and we haven't actually announced it in big ways. And so you can actually add a logo to a form now. So that way, if you now click add new, you'll see a text and image option in there. And so you can actually upload your logo or an image of some sort. Maybe it's a destination wedding. You want to have a beautiful photo of the bride and groom right at the beginning of the form. You could do that. You could add your logo, maybe a photo of the resort, whatever it might be. But then also you can add in a text area. Maybe there are instructions or information, an overview of the form that you need to list in there. You can actually do that now. So you can add logos to your forms.
Yeah. And just to show you here too, this will look kind of funny because it's on a credit card authorization form, but you'd be able to see that in here. So see there.
Look at these beautiful mountains.
Look
Now
at those.
give me your payment info.
Yes, exactly. So yes, it's actually a good way to approach it. Like, get excited for this trip. Now we just need to do the part where you got to pay. But and then that's what it'd look like. So really cool. And it's also really nice too, because a lot of times if you have one form and you need to collect different information, it gets kind of lengthy. You might want to separate it with like a photo and a description and all that good stuff.
Yep.
So Gabriella asks here is, can I store credit card info in a contact file? And well, the yes and no. So basically, your credit card information that you only want to be collecting it from the credit card authorization form. So I just want to make that clear that it's not like you're adding it in the description or something. It's that you're collecting it securely from that form. But then that form does live with that client. So then that client profile, so you can see here, as long as they fill out that form and then you connect this to their profile, then you'll be able to come in. And so that's the whole thing, is when you're ready to retrieve it, you just need to go into their contact profile and get it from there. So it makes it really easy and quick.
Cool. And I am also seeing a few questions on who can see my tasks. And so in the context of, hey, I'm on a team, can my other team members see my tasks? Can I see their tasks? But then also, we're seeing lots of instances where travel advisors on Travefy are collaborating with other travel advisors for the trip, or working with other DMCs or tour operators that are also on Travefy. Can they see the tasks? So the answer to that is, if you're on a team, although we will by default filter the task view, so click, yep, in there, you'll see on the left, it has Stephanie's My Tasks highlighted. By default, we filter it to just your stuff that's relevant to you, that you're tagged to on those tasks. But you can also uncheck that to view all of your team's tasks. Maybe you're a manager, team lead, owner, whatever the case may be. You might want to actually be able to keep a tab on what's going on, what reminders, what tasks. You can also assign tasks to other team members that way. Now, the second part of that, if other users are on Travefy, but they are not a part of your team, they cannot see any of your account information except for if you've shared a trip with them. So they cannot see your clients and contacts. They cannot see your credit card authorizations. They cannot see your tasks if they're outside of your team on Travefy.
And one thing too that's really cool, just to point out on this, is you can see in here, like where you can see when I change that owner. So I do have one team member in here. So I can change like owners over to them. I can also assign this to, like, if I want to assign this to a trip that's already existing or something, I can do that. So I can assign that in here. So it's really cool that you can pretty much just kind of live in here and then see all that. And you can also see, I love how we have like the little grade version of what it's connected to, if it's a contact or, a trip, things like that. So really cool in there.
Yep. And a few more questions, really good ones on tasks. Kate asks, can we assign tasks to booking agents, such as, hey, I want to assign a task for the clients departing next week or clients returned last week, etc. And so you can, just not in those exact terms. So as Stephanie was laying out, you can set relative dates on a task. For example, I want this task to pop up 7 days in advance of the trip start date, or I want this task to pop up 5 days after a trip end date. So you can accomplish exactly what you're mentioning, Kate, just by setting those specific types of relative dates. And that way, when you assign that task list to a trip, it will go ahead and take care of that for you that way. Now there's one other, can you add a... Wendy asked, can you add a send date to a task or a task list? Like, I want this form to send on this date. So the answer to that is not quite yet. We're working on some nice efficiency tools to help with that. An example of that, if some of you aren't aware, we have built in an automated trip feedback request form. And so approximately 2 to 3 days after a trip concludes, Travefy will automatically send a brief survey to your clients that then you can view that information on the trip or in the contact that way, so that you can see how they responded to that. So just to elaborate, there's some tools that we're rolling out over time that accomplish that.
Yeah, and here's like a screenshot too of what that looks like. It's really simple, but it's cool. And then it just goes into a form, so you'll get notified when they fill that out, which is cool. But yeah, great questions on that.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh, and
got
Rita
one.
asked, can you group and organize clients? And yes, you can. So if you go into your
Mm-hmm.
contact section, you can add labels in there. So labels are the tool, the mechanism that Travefy uses to group and organize things. One of the reasons we use labels is because a lot of advisors are familiar with forms, but something can only exist in one form at one time, or sorry, one folder at one time. I misspoke there, folders. We use labels because then you can actually apply different labels to the same thing and group and organize things however you wish. So you can apply labels to groups of clients. So maybe you're working on a river cruise or destination wedding, and you want to tag all 20 clients on that river cruise or on that destination wedding with one label that you can group and organize them all at once. That's how you can use labels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, labels are amazing, and highly recommend, because, and as you can see too, when we were doing the task list, there's the ability for labels there as well. So you really can do, like really, really help organize all those. But it looks like we're like right on time here. So I want to kind of wrap up because I also want to share again, which I actually forgot to say this, but if you want to start a free trial, if you're new to Travefy, I always forget the most, the thing like, hey, I'm new to Travefy. Where do I go? So if you just go to Travefy.com, you'll be able to start a free trial there. And the trial's 10 days. But during that 10 days, what I recommend is get in the support center, schedule that training, get a demo, do the getting started guide in here. And you won't find tasks yet in here, but we're working on it because it's that new. So you'll be able to watch just all these videos. There's so many things. And again, like we weren't able to talk about itineraries or proposals or the website builder, but there's videos for that. There's so many things that you can check out. So definitely recommend that. And then the other thing I was going to mention too is that you have access to everything. So, you want to play with the website builder or do forms, whatever it is, you have access to all of that. And that's all part of your subscription. So it's really great there. And subscription too, for when it comes down to pricing is we do monthly or annual pricing. So you can sign up for $39 a month if you go month to month. Annually is $31 a month. So you do save 20%. And again, that gives you unlimited access to everything. So there's not like anything extra, which is just one of the coolest parts about it. So definitely reach out to us. And if you do have any questions, send us a live chat in your account or send us an email professional@travefy.com and we'll get all those questions answered. But this is awesome. Thanks again. Thank you, Scott, for all of your expertise
Thank you,
and
Stephanie,
for answering
as
so
always.
many questions. Oh yeah.
You rocked it. So thank you for your time for our amazing users.
Oh yes, this is awesome. And get pumped. Let us know what you think of tasks. Like definitely that Scott kept saying, send us feedback on it. And we want to see, like share what you're doing. We're excited to see it's still so new out there. So we're excited to watch it evolve. So thank you so much again, everybody. And let us know how we can help, in the future, and have a great rest of your day.